This is a review for The Substance with Demi Moore. So just watch this movie. Uh, this is a really messed up movie. Um, I did like it. I thought it was a little too long. It has a great ending. Um, but it is messed up. It's body horror. This seems like something Cronenberg could have made. It's got great music. It's shot beautifully. Um, and Demi Moore is great in this. I've heard some people talk about her being nominated for this. I think, I could see that. I think that this is one of her best performances I've ever seen. And it says dark comedy on IMDb. Yeah, I can see that, especially like the second half. The first half's more serious, but basically Demi Moore is this fitness instructor on TV, and she's been doing it for a long time. She feels like she's getting old. She's supposed to be 50 in this. She's actually 61, and Demi Moore's 61. And her boss is Dennis Quaid, and she overhears him saying that they're going to replace her with a younger woman. And then she doesn't really get fired. I guess I don't think there's a scene where Dennis Quaid fires her, but Dennis Quaid is great in this. He plays this he is hamming it up, over the top, like gross dirtbag. Like, I like the scene when he's eating a bunch of shrimp and he's getting food all over his face and all over the table, and he's basically saying we're gonna go with someone else, Demi Moore. And he buys her this little tiny present, which is a French cookbook. And she's in a car accident, and this young guy, sees that she's like crying, and he then puts something in her jacket, which is the substance. I think it was a USB card, and it had a number on it, and it has a video saying what it does. It creates a better version of you, and it's very vague though. And then she calls the number, and the guy sends a delivery to her. She goes and picks it up at this shady alleyway, and you inject this stuff into you, and she doesn't even know what it's going to do. And then, of course, craziness ensues. So it is a little bit like, are you just going to inject this random stuff in you with some vague promise of making yourself younger and beautiful again? But she does. And yeah, this movie's crazy. It is pretty good. There's some crazy body horror and spoilers, like when she does it, and then she falls on the ground, and then all of a sudden out of the back of her is birthed a new person, which is the young woman Margaret Qualley. And then she has to sew up the back of her, like on her spine. And basically what it does is it creates, you are still there, but then there's the younger you, and every 7 days you switch. You're back to the old you, and then you have the younger you. Now, the thing I was kind of confused about in the movie is, like, do they share a consciousness? But I don't think they do, though, because later on, the new you, and throughout the movie, it keeps emphasizing you are one, starts misusing the routine that they have to do. I guess for the rest of your life, you have to like eat this or intravenously use this gelatin every day, and um and then for 7 days each day you inject this stuff into you, which comes out of your spine, out of Demi Moore's spine, into the new you. But then she starts to take out spinal fluid and start injecting it, and she doesn't want to become unconscious again. And what this does is it starts to quickly age Demi Moore, because it's like sucking the life out of her. So that was something I was kind of unclear on, is if they share a consciousness or not, because it kind of seems like sometimes they do, but also they don't. And if the thing is, like, I don't know, kind of problem I have with the movie though is, if you don't, then what's the point then, you know? Like, you're creating a younger version of yourself, but you're not really enjoying what they're doing. You're just unconscious for 7 days, and then you're back to your old self. So, like, you get to, like, live vicariously through them, but you're not sharing a consciousness, you know? I don't know if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It just seems like, what's the benefit? Like, you're creating someone else, and then she goes and she takes over her old job. She becomes the new instructor, dance teacher, you know, and she's like super hot, and and then, you know, she follows the routine for a while, but then, you know, when you have to go back to unconscious, and if you don't, then your nose starts to bleed, you kind of start to fall apart. Yeah, so then she starts taking more of her spinal fluid, which I think you're only supposed to do 7 times. And you know, things go really bad. Like, there's some amazing makeup in this. And if you could do me a favor and smash that like button, that'd be great. Really helps the channel. But it's an interesting movie. It has a critique of vanity, and it's written and directed by a woman, and I think very well directed. Some problems I have with the screenplay, like what I just talked about, but it's a great idea. I don't know much about this director. I would think she's a huge fan of Cronenberg, and also The Elephant Man I was kind of thinking of too in the movie, especially the end of the movie. She did Revenge. Never seen it. Maybe I'll try and check it out. She did some of the Sandman show. I've never seen that. Directed an episode. Revenge. Never take your mistress on an annual guy's getaway, especially one devoted to hunting. A violent lesson for 3 wealthy married men. So, I don't know. But, I would think she's a huge Cronenberg fan, because this definitely feels like Cronenberg-esque. You know, obviously different. Some great music in this. It's got a great look. But yeah, it's basically a take on vanity from from a woman's perspective. How some women, when they get older, you know, even if they're, you know, still, you know, pretty good looking for their age, like, start to, do plastic surgery and injections in their faces, and, you know, stuff like that. And often I think it just doesn't look good. You know, maybe if you just do a little tiny bit, but, you know, it's yeah. So I don't want to get into examples of it, but usually it just doesn't really work out that well, and that's what happens in this movie. So it has a good message of, you know, vanity, which she has, but she should have just been happy with what she had. I mean, she was super rich, lived in a nice apartment. Yeah, she got fired from that job. But she's still an attractive woman for her age. But she wasn't happy with that, and in a scene in the movie, she says, to the other version of herself, she hates herself. You have to live for me. And but yeah, it's it's like the last half of the movie is crazy because she just keeps sucking the life out of Demi Moore. And at first it just makes one of her fingers like age and kind of look weird. And then she keeps doing it, and then she turns into like an old woman, and one of her legs is all messed up. And then she keeps doing it, and then she looks like a like a creature from Dungeons and Dragons, like a hag witch kind of, and loses all of her hair. And there's some great makeup. This should be nominated for makeup, I would say. Special effects and makeup or whatever, and probably hair and makeup also. But yeah, there's definitely a critique of also, I guess, beauty standards created by men, I guess, because Dennis Quaid, what he's doing, and he fires her because she's not beautiful enough anymore. And then later on, the new version of herself meets like the shareholders of the company, and they're all old white men, of course. And this is when she starts to be falling apart, because her Demi Moore finally says, okay, I have to stop this and kill the new version of myself, what she's about to do. And she gets delivered basically like a kill needle, like poison. She injects like half of it, but then couldn't do it. The new version of herself wakes up, finds out what she's doing, and then you just totally beats the crap out of her. There's like tons of blood in the last half of this movie, and just totally destroys her, smashing her face into a mirror, smashing her face into a sink, and she kills her. So she can't then use her body to continue the existence of her, because also what they do is you inject yourself with two IVs, I guess, and you kind of switch blood I think it's every 7 days. But yeah, so the message of the movie is be happy with what you have and beware of what you wish for. So I think it has a good message. There's also a feminist message, like I said, but I didn't think it was like on the nose, and I wouldn't say it like hates men or anything like that. I don't think so. I just think it actually has a really good positive message in the movie. Now, there were some things that made absolutely no sense. I'm sorry, no sense at all. Like the new version of herself just randomly becomes an expert carpenter and mason. What? Like because she wants to hide Demi Moore's body and hers when she goes to sleep, because she's just using her bathroom. And she starts like having sex with these different guys, and so she wants to hide it. So she's like hitting the walls, and she notices, oh, there's a space behind here. So she cuts open the wall in her bathroom, and she can just become an expert carpenter, and mason, I would think. So she does tile work. She makes the door on a hinge. and that was ridiculous. I mean, I guess it's like, oh, you're taking the movie too seriously, but like that's a really intricate skill, you know, like putting tile in a bathroom and being a carpenter. That you just don't learn that overnight. Like you, oh yeah, I watched a YouTube video. Okay, yeah, right. So that was ridiculous. I'm sorry, she just did that all of herself. I just thought makes absolutely no sense. Um, yeah, and there's little things like that in the movie. There were almost no instructions that at least you see. I think they should have showed her reading like a piece of paper. Like there was a piece of paper with instructions on how to use the substance. There's almost none. It's just like, oh, I guess I inject this into her spine, and then I take out the fluid, and then I put it in my leg. You know, it's like, okay, but I mean, maybe you inject it into your spine. I don't know, but there's like no instructions. I guess less is more in some ways. You don't want to overcomplicate things, but maybe just show her reading instructions. I don't know. Things like that in this movie kind of annoyed me a little bit, but um it is a solid movie. It's definitely worth watching, especially if you're a Cronenberg fan or a body horror fan. I mean, at the end of the movie, it gets so crazy because the old version of herself is dead. And then she is gonna host the New Year's Eve dance celebration and be on air on TV, and there's gonna be like over 50 million people watching, and it's her big thing. But she's running out of time because she starts falling apart because she needs Demi Moore to switch with her, but Demi Moore's dead. So, and she keeps calling this number with this guy's voice on the other line who, I guess makes the substance. And basically you're screwed. Because like he always says, you are one, you are two, but you are one. And so then she takes the substance that Demi Moore injected originally. This like, it looks like Mountain Dew, and there's a little bit left. So then she takes it and injects it in herself to create a new version of herself. And of course it goes horribly wrong, because it does, but it's this disgusting monstrosity, like looks like a bunch of tumors. Demi Moore's face is on the back of her, which I thought was pretty funny. And and then this creature puts on earrings and the dress she was wearing, and then goes to the premiere and also cuts out a picture of Demi Moore's face and then tapes it on her, glues it on her its face or whatever. I mean, it kind of looks like the Elephant Man or something, or maybe that what happens in RoboCop with that one guy when all the toxic sludge falls on him. And and then she goes to the ceremony and shows everyone what she is, and that seems pretty hilarious. And then people start attacking the creature, and then it kind of turns into like a kind of like a Tarantino movie with blood shooting everywhere, or like an anime with you get your arm cut off and blood just shoots everywhere. That's what that kind of reminded me of. And they're shooting blood everywhere, and Dennis Quaid and the shareholders are in there, and then she soaks all them in all of her blood, and then she's able to make her way out of there, but then collapses and it basically explodes. And then at the end, it's just Demi Moore's face in a pile of sludge, slowly moving, and then she moves over her star on the Hollywood walk and disintegrates and turns into a puddle into nothing. So, but Yeah, it's a crazy movie. I mean, I'd be interested to see what this director does after this. The movie Revenge doesn't sound that good, but maybe I'll check it out. So I never seen Sandman, but it's definitely an interesting movie, basically about vanity and the dangers of it. I would say from like a feminist perspective. So, but yeah, that's about it. I like the movie. Demi Moore is the best performance. I mean, maybe I've ever seen her give. So, at least in a long time. So, I'll give it that. And also, I think this movie kind of is talking about how Hollywood kind of treats women, because it is true that women, once they get a little older, it's hard for them to get roles. They call it like that. I forget what they say exactly. It's like the witch curse or something, because all they get to play are witches or our mothers and grandmothers, basically. Like, and I think there is some truth to that. Whereas men, when they get older, they still get really good roles. You know, it is what it is, and I think there is some truth to that. So I think that this movie's also kind of commenting on that situation in Hollywood. So, but yeah, definitely an interesting movie, interesting script. The script is written by the director also. So, but yeah, that's about it though, I think. And see you next time.